Alright, what's going on, big dogs? So it is official. Zeus has left T1 for Hanwha Life, and that's not even the biggest news coming out of this signing. There has been a ton of drama between T1, Hanwha Life, and Zeus's agent, out of all people, that has sent T1 fans, including myself, into a massive frenzy. So let's go ahead and dive into this. So I'm sure if you've clicked on this video, you have to be somewhat of a League of Legends fan. And if you are a League of Legends fan at all, you would understand the legendary ZOFGK roster, or the Zeus, Owner, Faker, Gumayusi, and Carrier roster. Since these guys have been a roster, they have made 3 Worlds Finals in a row, winning the last 2 back-to-back, which is the second time that a team has ever done that, both of which Faker was a part of. But this is easily the greatest roster League of Legends has ever seen in pro play. And T1, after being able to sign everybody but Zeus, the thought amongst the community was he was going to re-sign for another few years. Everybody was expecting Zeus to sign a pretty big contract, somewhere in the $2 to $3 million range. It was going to be for like a year, maybe 2, to stay with the rosters, because T1 was already rolling out all the merchandise for the ZOFGK roster. So the thought was Zeus was coming back, and this roster was going to stay for at least another year. However, yesterday, T1 ended up uploading this photo to their Instagram, thanking Zeus for his time on the team. And not too much longer, they had announced that they had signed Doran as their new top laner. Now, all of this sounds simple enough and is basically just a normal offseason if you were any other team. But it's how the re-signing went down that has fans and the organization of T1 just up in arms right now. You see, T1 actually did want to re-sign Zeus. He apparently even verbally committed to re-signing with the team. However, his agent, who also happened to be Keen's agent, which we'll cover that in a second, apparently ghosted and lowballed T1 at every opportunity, and the T1 and their CEO are absolutely pissed. So let's start from the beginning on how this went down. So this is all just rumors and speculation, so take everything I'm about to say with a grain of salt. So apparently, Zeus and his agent were coming to terms with T1. T1 had set up an offer, their agent declined it. I believe T1 set up another offer, and then they said they wanted to hear back from Hanwha Life first. They were going to go talk to Hanwha Life and see what they were offering Zeus. Now, it was at this point that Keen, the top laner for Gen G, who had not re-signed to Gen G yet, was still a free agent. So T1 was trying to set up this deal with Zeus so they could secure themselves a top laner for the season. Or if Zeus was going to sign with Hanwha Life, they wanted to know relatively quickly so that they could hop in and sign Keen, who was probably the next best option in the region. However, like I said, they were getting ghosted by Zeus's and Keen's agent, who, in my opinion, waited until Keen decided to re-sign with Gen G in order to get Zeus even more money. Because if Keen is off the market now, the market for top laners is very slim. It was him and Doran, and they were both going to ask for a decent amount of money, because Doran does have a very good domestic record. He is very good domestically. It's when he gets into the international scene that he tends to have his flaws. Because of this, Zeus obviously was able to ask for more money, and I think the agent knew that that was going to happen. And so they put out an offer to T1 on what they wanted. T1 declined, and then they had decided they were going to set up a meeting point for like 4 o'clock. Well, before that meeting, they had their meeting with Hanwha Life, where Zeus just signed on the spot. And then T1 showed up expecting to have this meeting and sit down and offer Zeus the contract that he wanted, apparently. Apparently they were going to give him what he wanted, but he had already signed, so it was too late. So T1 is obviously very upset, and the fans are obviously very upset, because there is apparently some very shady things going down, like I said, between the ghosting of the company and to him being, like, again, the agent for both of the best top laners in the region. It's really fishy, it's really sketchy, and it has a lot of T1 fans thinking that there was some illegal activity done. Now, from my research so far, there hasn't been anything that would scream illegal. You know, obviously there was some shady stuff going on, and maybe this guy just really hates T1 and just doesn't want them to succeed for whatever reason. But T1, like I stated earlier, had already sent out big branding deals, and we're going to do a bunch of brand-based stuff around the ZOFGK roster. And now they had to scrap all of that. They had to scrap everything. They had to take all of Zeus's stuff out of the T1 HQ, you know, like his jersey and his locker, all that kind of stuff. They had to do all sorts of cleanup basically for this. And a lot of people were also surprised that they signed Doran, which I wasn't really surprised to see Doran signed because he was the next best option. And honestly, with all this going on, with all this illegality stuff going on and people up in arms, Doran is catching a lot of strays. I have seen a lot of people are hating on Doran and basically saying he's ruining this roster, and if they lose, it's all going to be on him, which is just not true. This is a team game. And not only that, like I was saying, Doran has a phenomenal record when it comes to domestically. He's a 3-time domestic champion. I believe all were with Gen G, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong there. But he's a good player, and he has constantly had Zeus's number when it comes to domestic play. When it comes to the playoffs in Korea or just the regular season in Korea, he tends to be the best top laner in the region. It's just once he gets to international play, he seems to choke, or he seems to, you know, flounder a little bit. I don't know if it's that other teams can just figure him out better, or he just has stage fright, but he does play quite a bit poorly in international play. Now, like I said, all of this is just speculation. It all is just rumors amongst fans and amongst, I guess there's a few inside people that have posted about it on like Reddit and Twitter, saying things like they heard the CEO of the company like screaming and cussing in his office when he heard about this, probably again because of all the brand deals. But all of this just is a crazy scenario. And I'm really excited to, I'm genuinely excited to see what comes out of this. Like if there was any illegal activity going on, how that would affect the contracts. Like it's a contract. There's no way he's coming back, I don't think, unless there was something genuinely super illegal about it where it absolutely 100% undercut T1, and maybe over there verbal commitments mean a lot more than what they would over here. Like in the US, if you verbally commit to something, it's not a legal binding contract. Some countries, I guess it is from my research. So who knows? I don't know if it is in South Korea. I wasn't able to find if it was or wasn't, but maybe it is. And then maybe they can have some leverage there. But I think Zeus is just going to stick with Hanwha Life either way. I figured out of everybody on the roster who would leave, it would be Zeus, just because he's probably done the best. He's peaked the highest, I guess is the best way you could put it. Everybody on the team has had their peaks. Obviously, Keria was probably the best player in the world back in 2022, but then Zeus just showed up and started dominating from there on out. So I think he's had probably the highest peak, other than Faker, obviously, out of all the players on the team. So him asking for all this money and stuff is not a surprise. And I wasn't surprised he left. I was just surprised of how this all went down. And I figured it would make a good video. Again, one more thing before I go. I just wanted to say, hats off to Doran, man. I hope he does well this split. I hope he kind of shows everybody up and is able to kind of shut some people up about how good or bad he really is. You know, and I'm hoping that with him being around more experienced players when it comes to international play, I think that's going to help him a lot when it comes to internationals. Again, he's not a bad top laner. I don't think he's going to be this hyper carry like Zeus could be, but he plays his role well and he does a good job. I don't see how this is going to like substantially weaken the roster. I think this is a pretty damn good lineup, and there's a lot of good lineups in Korea right now, just with Ruler coming back to Gen G, Hanwha Life having a stacked team now. Even KT has some promising rookies coming up. Like it's a pretty stacked split, and I can still see Doran dominating domestically. So it's going to be interesting to see. You know, maybe Doran will carry them all season and win them some domestic titles, and then T1 will, the rest of the roster will win Doran the international titles for him. Who knows? But anyways, guys, that's really all I got for you today. If you did enjoy, remember, please leave a like, comment, of course, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It all absolutely means a ton. Hopefully you enjoy these League of Legends update videos, you know, whatever. I'm just trying some stuff out, but thank you guys for sticking around to the end of the video. And until the next video, guys, Godspeed.
I lost my best friend to 23. She left her body in Harvard above me.